Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Playmakers. What is up, guys? In this video, I'm going to be going through another set of start sits, and this time it's going to be for the quarterback position. So breaking down every single Week 14 matchup and listing every starting quarterback as either a start or a sit. There are going to be timestamps down below, so if you just want to jump, to your specific quarterbacks, totally fine, go ahead. All I ask is that if you guys enjoy the content or find it informative or helpful, do me a huge favor, hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. But let's just jump into the first Thursday night matchup where we have the Steelers taking on the Vikings. For the Steelers, Big Ben is just not going to get it done for fantasy football or really for real life NFL. So he has been a sit all season and he is going to stay there. For the Vikings, Kirk Cousins definitely takes a little bit of a hit with Adam Thielen likely out for this game, but I still think you can start him as like a back-end quarterback one option. Moving on to Sunday, we have the Cowboys taking on the Washington football team. You continue to throw Dak in as a very solid, like mid-tier, mid to back-end quarterback one play. For the Washington football team, Taylor Heinicke is always going to be on the fringe. He's someone you feel solid plugging into your lineup if your starting quarterback is on bye, but I do think, it's not an ideal situation to be starting him, so I am going to list him as a sit. In the Jaguars Titans game, this is pretty ugly at the quarterback position. Trevor Lawrence really hasn't been fantasy relevant all season long. For Ryan Tannehill, he was someone I thought was going to be a really solid, like lower end quarterback one. He has not lived up to that at all. He has been terrible, especially since Derrick Henry went down. You still have A.J. Brown on IR. He's getting Julio Jones back, but I don't think that's going to make a huge difference. The Titans are probably going to win this one, but it's likely going to be very gross and just not one where Ryan Tannehill is going to put up some nice stats, so he is going to be a sit also. Then we've got the Seahawks taking on the Texans. Seahawks, started to get into their groove a little bit last week against the 49ers, and this is just a great matchup against the Texans, so I am going to be starting Russell Wilson. Still more of a back-end quarterback one play, but I do think, he's earned the right to be listed as a start again after being a sit the last few weeks. For the Texans, it doesn't seem like we know whether or not it's going to be Tyrod Taylor or Davis Mills, but for fantasy, it really does not matter because both of those players are going to be very, very strong sits this week. In a divisional game between the Raiders and the Chiefs, I actually feel confident starting both of these quarterbacks. Derek Carr, back-end quarterback one. Patrick Mahomes, mid to back-end QB1. Someone you thought was going to be a high-end option has not lived up to it. His floor is really just not there, but you definitely can't bench him because it's always possible he goes out 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, and you just can't have that sitting on your bench. The next matchup is going to be between the Saints and the Jets, and Taysom Hill is going to be a start. It seems like I'm saying a lot of these guys are back-end quarterback ones, but that's how I'm feeling so far with these earlier matchups. I understand the hesitation with starting Taysom Hill because you really don't want to throw a guy out there who just threw 4 interceptions the previous week. And obviously, if new information comes out about him kind of splitting snaps with Trevor Siemian or Siemian's getting the start, then obviously you just want to sit both of them. But Taysom Hill has a ton of rushing upside, and I don't think you're going to be expecting 4 interceptions a game out of him. Plus, this is a really solid matchup against a Jets defense that has definitely struggled this season. So he's kind of like a fringe start, but still someone I think you could throw in there with at least a little bit of confidence. For the Jets, Zach Wilson didn't play horrible last Sunday against the Eagles, but still someone you want to stay very far away from for fantasy purposes. We've got a rough matchup here at the quarterback position between the Falcons and the Panthers. For the Falcons, Matt Ryan is just not getting it done. He doesn't have a lot of help around him. The offensive line is not good, and without Calvin Ridley, his weapons are subpar. For the Panthers, Cam Newton coming off a bye. Before that, just a miserable performance. And, I could see someone asking the question, Taysom Hill coming off a bad game, Cam Newton coming off a bad game. Why is Newton a sit, whereas Taysom Hill is a start? For Cam Newton, there's just a lot of uncertainty here. That game was historically bad. I think he was like 5 for 20. Taysom wasn't even that terrible. Plus, the offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, is gone. We just don't know what this offense is going to look like. So if Cam comes back, maybe they go run heavy, get Cam some more touches on the ground. He doesn't have to throw the ball a ton. Then maybe he approaches that start range. But right now, I just can't trust him going into week 14. Moving over to the Ravens taking on the Browns. Lamar Jackson has not played well, but what are you going to do? You're still going to plug him back in as a very solid quarterback one play. That rushing upside is unmatched. So even though he's struggling, he should break out of it soon. For the Browns, Baker Mayfield has just not been fantasy relevant all season long. Even, in a matchup here against the Ravens, who have a very beat up secondary, I just still would not trust Baker. Then we have the Giants taking on the Chargers. For the Giants, pretty clear sit here. It looks like it is going to be Jake Fromm. Daniel Jones not healthy. Mike Glennon in concussion protocol. So he may make his first NFL start. Just really not interested at all there. For the Chargers, Justin Herbert, very solid mid to high end QB1 option. Lions Broncos is up next, and just two clear sits here. For the Lions, Jared Goff sit every single week. They finally got their first win, but this is a fairly tough Broncos defense. I'm not expecting, another decent game out of Jared Goff. And then for the Broncos, Teddy Bridgewater just does not have it. He has no ceiling, and his floor is not there either. Even with all the weapons around him, he is still going to be a sit. In the 49ers Bengals game, I'm going to be sitting Jimmy Garoppolo. Just not a lot of consistency there. We know they want to be a run-first team, so he is not someone I would want in my lineups. For the Bengals, Joe Burrow definitely hasn't been putting up those monster fantasy performances as of late, but overall, he's still playing fairly well. He had an interception last week that was just a beautiful deep pass to Jamar Chase, so he's just not getting super lucky. I still think he's someone you plug in as a back-end quarterback one. And then in this next matchup, we're really starting to get into some of the top-tier quarterbacks in this Bills-Bucks matchup. Both of these players locked in high-end quarterback ones with Josh Allen and Tom Brady. Then for Sunday Night Football, we have the Bears taking on the Packers. You're just fading all these Bears quarterbacks, whether it's Andy Dalton or Justin Fields. They should both be on your bench. And then for the Packers, Aaron Rodgers is a solid start every week. And the final game of the week, Monday Night Football, Rams taking on the Cardinals. Great overall game and a great fantasy matchup for the quarterbacks and all the skill positions. Both Matthew Stafford and Kyler Murray are locked in starts in your lineup. And that is going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys enjoyed the content, go check out my other start-sit videos. Running backs and wide receivers were posted yesterday. Tight ends will be posted today. And then hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.